Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Daily Night, back in action after a long road trip. With me is one of my good buddies, Andrew Johnson. Andrew, thank you for coming on the show. How you doing today, my friend?
Doing good, Brian, man. It's been a long day, so I'm glad to relax and get back on. So glad to see you, man. Glad to see you.
Thank you very much. After my trip to New Orleans, Dallas, back to New Orleans, to Indiana, Columbus, Savannah, Georgia, and back home to Tampa, I am pretty spent. So, to put it mildly, recruiting does.
It takes a toll on you.
Yes, it does.
He's working.
That's more than I should, literally. The reason for this podcast specifically is recruiting and what's going on right now. UCF just got the commitment of Troy Ford Jr. I'll throw up the screen here in a second to show the homepage of Inside the Knights. Did an interview with Troy, was at his press conference, did the class impact. I tell you what, man, he's just one of those kids that you kind of root for. Yeah. And quite honestly, there's not a lot of kids like him.
Yeah. We got to meet Troy in Davenport for that 7-on-7 tournament.
That's right. Yeah, the two articles there in the middle are Troy, but yeah, middle linebacker. He's about 6'1", 6'2", 230 pounds. Very, very physical. His head coach came on and spoke before Troy did his announcement and talked about, if I could just get each of my players to play as hard and as physical as Troy, we're going to be really, really good. That's always a good sign when a coach leads with that, especially with the guys in middle linebacker. And he earned all these offers, Auburn and South Carolina and Arkansas and all these different programs. And he decided on UCF. When myself or anybody else asked him, hey, what was the reason behind it? And he kept mentioning one key word, and that was family. And that's something that I know that, Andrew, you and I have both heard.
Right.
From recruits, you read something on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever it is, maybe a video. I mean, when was the last time you heard a recruit that picked UCF?
That has something. Yeah, that's something about the culture. That's what it's trending towards right now.
And I thought that was really interesting because he went back to it. And then one of the other reporters from the local news station said something about, hey, what'd you think about Gus? He's talked about how he welcomed him, et cetera. Then I asked about T-Will. Coach, yeah, Travis, he's built something over there. Man. Yeah, he is. And he related to him better, he said, than any other coach that recruited him. Again, this is a guy that had a bunch of SEC offers. So once you start getting that level of commitment from the coaching staff towards a player, obviously it helps your chances.
It's a positive.
Yeah. So I wanted to not only mention that, hey, he's a good player, but how it came about. And again, I got the articles up there showing on the page. But this is a player that you can start to build your defense around. They've got two commitments for 23. They got Caven Call, the D end.
Yep.
Popka. Now they have Ford. You can be pretty selective.
Right.
Because I don't know how many people really follow the portal for I don't know how you rate this or put it into classification, but there are 10 players now that are coming from the portal that will play at UCF in the fall.
Ooh.
That's a lot of players.
Yeah.
And there could be more.
Right.
So they're going to be really selective.
Yeah, that's going to affect recruiting for sure. Try to bring in about 22 guys.
Yeah. We're almost to the point where they're taking half as many players from the portal as they are from the high school ranks. It's about 60-40, 55-45. And it's because they're not going to settle for lesser players. Most of the high school kids that they get are really good, but the kid that they want that has the Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama offer, they're still not getting yet.
Right.
It's just true.
They're still competing with them guys, yeah.
But when you get all the transfers mixed in, it doesn't matter. Nobody has improved their roster in a year more than UCF in the entire country.
Guys are ready to play like right now. So, yeah, that's important.
I did not see that coming, and I followed recruiting for over 30 years, and I've never seen a team do it. Now, the portal changes the game for them, as Gus likes to say. But it's amazing. And now that the other thing that I want to put in here, when we did that tournament, and I knew Troy already, but when I did the tournament, I watched him, I talked to him, and I watched what he did on the field. His leadership capabilities, I think that's one of the reasons that the staff really liked him, because you have to be that way. Yeah. You have to be that way, or you're going to get smoked in today's game, because the offense has all the advantages anyway. Everybody's got to be on the same page. What did you like about Troy when we were at that tournament? What did you think about it?
Yeah, so I didn't know Troy before that tournament, so that was my first time really seeing him. But man, what stood out to me is basically what you said, that leadership and him controlling other defensive players, calling out plays, following the running back out of the pocket. Yeah, those are the things that impressed me.
He's a very interesting guy that way because he just wants to win. Linebackers in 7-on-7 play, they're not a huge impact usually.
Exactly.
But he found other ways. Right.
Found other ways to direct guys and make guys make plays that maybe they wouldn't have.
100%.
Yeah.
That's the difference between winning and losing at any level, but especially as you ascend up and play what UCF is going to be in the Big 12 beginning in 23. If you don't have leadership and chemistry on defense, you will give up a boatload of points. So I just wanted to start off with that. Troy's a great kid. He will do well at UCF. I expect him to graduate with honors the whole 9 yards. He goes to a fantastic private school in Savannah, Georgia. He's going to do very, very well in a UCF uniform. So
that was a good game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That really was. Yeah. The second player that I want to talk about is Malachi Singleton, and I'll put up his film here in just a second. I know Malachi. He plays with Cam Newton 7-on-7. Ironically, that's the last part of this, but he has played with him. I don't know if he still is, but he is the quintessential run-pass quarterback for today's era. And Malzahn and his staff knew about him when they were at Auburn. They've continued to recruit him at UCF. For anybody that does not know, 6'1", 220, 225, somewhere in that range. And most importantly, despite his size, he's a twitchy athlete that will also run over you. He had over 1,000 yards rushing last year. He had 25 rushing touchdowns. And he also completed 75.1% of his passes. Which is
exactly, yeah.
He had an all-star cast around him. Right. Let's not kid ourselves, but you still got to put the ball in there for them to make a play.
Yes, sir.
And he read the defenses pretty well. He can run RPO. He's all the things that really fit Chip Lindsey, Gus Malzahn, and that offense in general.
Well, let's pull up some of his film. Let's see what he's about.
Let's do it, man. Yeah, I was pretty curious. I hadn't seen his film in a while.
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, we're talking about a kid that, I don't know. I'm guessing just besides the experience factor, it's interesting. Come on, get up there. There we go. It's interesting because if you see him just burst through the hole there, that's not your typical quarterback. And this is against Atlanta competition. For people that don't know, he lives on the north side of Atlanta. Competition is tremendous, and he has a deft touch. As we see here, this is a great catch, by the way. Guy bobbles it and comes down with it.
He said he had a superstar lineup around him.
Oh, he most certainly does. But he utilized it. Here's another play. He could have given the ball up. Made the right decision. Yep.
Like a running back. He has that running back edition.
I mean, he could play running back.
Right.
Legitimately.
Kind of like Castellanos a little bit. He can play running back as well.
He's a little bigger version of Thomas. Probably he's a better passer at this same stage. Arm strength is similar. I would say Thomas has a stronger arm.
That's what I'm interested in. I wanted to see how his throwing power.
Oh, he can do some weird things. This play is pretty wild. He never goes down and the guy stops. He doesn't. Touchdown.
Accuracy. What, 71% of his passes? So that's pretty
75.
75.
Ooh. Yeah. That's a high number, brother.
Yeah.
And above all else, he makes the clutch plays. Like right here, most guys can't get that point. I mean, that's his speed.
You're going to need that burst, man, especially at the next level. Start moving to the Big 12.
I'm going to be curious to see what he's able to do in UCF's offense, because the offense he's running now is very similar.
Okay, yeah.
It's very similar to what UCF should run this year, assuming Plumlee ends up being the quarterback, and I'm sure he will be at least part of the time. The more I hear about him, the more I think he's actually going to end up being the quarterback. But besides that, this guy, along with Thomas Castellanos, I mean, the future is this offense. Yeah. And now UCF's getting the playmakers to go with him, too.
I got a follow-up question for you after this film on that.
I'll go right ahead. This far away.
Okay. So you said you got Castellanos and you got Malachi Singleton, too. But I think some of the fans can't forget about 6'5" Gavin Widener. Where do you think he fits into this quarterback competition?
I have no idea. That's the wild card, because
he's the wild card there. That's a big guy.
He's actually a pretty good runner.
And he can pass as well. I think he like set the record at his high school.
No, he's very active. He's had a quarterback coach forever. He's the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
I don't think there are many guys that can make better plays than him. His recruitment ended up being weird. He waited too long, and other schools kind of figured out what they wanted to do, and the portal ate him up.
Yeah.
But he'll end up. My guess is he'll transfer to a program sometime in the next year or so.
Yeah, we'll see
not.
how it works out. But can he work out this spring, or is he working out, or no?
I don't think he did. No, he was too late.
I think he's at a camp or something. I've seen it.
Yeah, so I mean, he'll enroll this summer, but he can play too. I mean, UCF's quarterback roster is wild. It is wild because I mean, this is a guy that had a bunch of Power 5 offers, and now he's the extra guy. I mean, that's what a problem to have. So
they're getting deep at certain positions, especially quarterback, running back, defensive back. They're getting deep.
100%. The thing here with Malachi is recruitment is nowhere near done. I don't care if he commits tomorrow because he's so good.
Yeah.
He's a big quarterback year, but the quarterback dominoes are just starting to fall. The kid from California who I've actually met, I have no chance to pronounce his last name. Samoan kid. He's awesome. He's awesome, but he just committed to Tennessee. There's a few other schools. I'm wondering if Malachi will get a few more offers as well down the road. That's the wild card at UCF and Arkansas, who are considered and perceived to be the two leaders for it.
Yeah.
Now, the timing of that, what you do, or are you done once you commit? There's a plethora of questions, and I have no answers.
No.
I haven't spoken to Malachi about it here recently.
But especially with the addition of the transfer portal, man, you just really
because
they might grab a guy and that might change his recruitment.
Yeah, I mean, a school could get a transfer and it ticks off the high school kid they just signed, so it leaves a gap, and there's a year between the quarterback they had the year before. Malachi can be more attractive. There's all kinds of really odd things that can go on with quarterback recruiting. This is any school; it's not UCF. It's any school. So I'm curious.
Singleton, he can stand in the pocket as well. He can use those feet, but he's not afraid to stand in there.
He's a little bit of everything. I'd like to see him use his hips and his lower legs a little more. He's got such a strong arm. He just kind of flicks it. Yeah. But at the next level, he needs to maximize. Right there, that was a great run because he was getting beat up and he still scored.
Extra yards. That would matter.
Absolutely. After the play is over, when you realize you've broken 3 tackles and made 2 guys miss, it's a good day. That's the kind of stuff this play right here is ridiculous.
Look at the footwork, the vision, man. That's running back right there.
That's what I mean.
And he can pass.
Absolutely. This play right here is a design run, and this shows off his quickness and his burst. He got around the corner before they knew what hit him.
Pocket throw. The money ball is open, but still money ball. Look at that.
He got clobbered on
progressions. He went through his progressions there, which is a positive. You don't want him to take his.
That's a little ad lib there. That's just being a ball player. Those are the kinds of plays that Gus often talks about, being able to create when there's really nothing there. Sometimes the defense just beats you, but then your God-given ability and your effort, your training take over. And then you can also throw it to really talented guys like that. But they have a lot of talent there, but he knew how to use it. He spread the ball around, and he didn't waste those opportunities.
Right.
So that's really important. While this just continues to run, I want to kind of go over a couple of things before we talk about some other Cam Newton kids. UCF has had so many unofficial visits in the last, let's say, 3 weeks. I can't even begin to keep up. Not even in the stratosphere.
Not even 3 of us.
No, it's not. Some of the kids don't always post. Some of the kids don't reply. It is what it is. This is the note that people need to take away from this podcast. UCF is going all out to make sure that people come to campus, make sure people have a good time at campus, and make sure they want to come back again, whether it's camp, whether it's the opportunity to take an official, depending on the year. They're recruiting kids as early as 25, meaning freshman high school. This is a big process.
That's what you got to do, man.
Oh, yeah. It also tells me something that I was curious about when he first took the job. The biggest telltale sign that a coach and or his staff are really bought in is how do you recruit underclassmen? Because that means you're not going to recruit underclassmen hard unless you really want to be there long term.
Right.
And they already are.
No, I think the staff is committed. I think he surrounded himself with the right staff. Definitely. We're seeing that. You couldn't come from tuition right now.
Absolutely. They have discussed open-endedly how they all hang out together, et cetera, talking about the staff. Well, part of that is recruiting. It is something, if you're a college coach and you're successful, your family life is iffy at best. And that's just reality. At 8:30 at night, even if your wife is angry at you, you have to take that phone call.
Yeah.
That's just how that works. You got to pick. And you're not going to win unless you take those phone calls. That's just how it works. So UCF recruiting like they are, they're putting in the effort. They're making sacrifices.
I got a question for you.
What do you got?
And it's coming to piggyback off this. What kind of a two-part question? What else do you think Gus Malzahn and the staff can do, even though, with all the excitement that's going on right now? What else can they do to maybe bring in some more local kids? You got the hometown events, but what else do you think they could do?
I think that starts with the spring game. And I don't know how they're going to do it. I question that myself because this year in the state of Florida, the upcoming senior group is incredibly talented. I don't expect them to sign a lot of the elite kids because they still have a perception about I want to go to Alabama or Ohio State or something. They got to prove me wrong on that. But they're still recruiting a ton of them, and a lot of them are still visiting. That's all you can do is swing for the fences. If you don't get them, you don't get them.
Yeah.
The event
have a successful season.
It starts with the spring game. Keep their interest. You try to bring them back as often as possible and show them something different that you can do here as opposed to another school. It's not really Pandora's box. It's pretty straightforward.
Right.
Do you want to be around us or somebody else? And that barrier, the Power 5 barrier that Gus has talked about with you in the room, me in the room, and a bunch of other guys.
Yeah.
It's something that has been taken down now that they're going to the Big 12 because each of the kids they're recruiting now will never be a part of a group of 5 UCF team. They'll be there next year when they're in the Big 12.
Power 5.
So that helps. Now, they still haven't played it and they still haven't seen it. They can't fix that. I get it. That's why I think the spring game is important, and I have no idea what they'll do, but they might have some of the kids come out there. They might have their name in a locker. They need to do something to make them think, I can see myself at this institution.
Make the spring game interactive.
100%.
My part 2 to that question, and I'm glad you brought up the transition to the Big 12. And we kind of talked about this on one of our other podcasts, but do you think UCF should, focus on the Florida, Georgia, Alabama area, or maybe try to, hire a few guys and extend out to that Midwest and maybe even the West Coast?
I think it's gold is where you find it. I think that if you're going to recruit 10 to 15 high school kids a year, which is kind of the plan until otherwise noted, I think they would sign 20 if they could get the 20 they wanted. They're not there yet. But they're going to take 8 to 12 kids from Florida a year because it's just easy. That's my guess. And then their next stop will be Georgia, where they just got Troy Ford. Singleton's from just north of Atlanta. Those guys that came over from Auburn, they all recruited Georgia. So that's easy.
Right.
There'll be a kid from the Midwest at some point. Like the transfer they just got was at Eastern Illinois.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. You know what I mean? That he's a kid that is from northern part of Illinois or whatever, and then he ends up at UCF. They're starting to get some of that. It's
that social media, man. That's that social media influence, I feel like.
100%. Their social media is tremendous. Their social media staff does a great job. West Coast, I don't know. Texas, 100%. And the reason I say that's the Big 12. You're going to be there a couple times a year anyway. You might as well go ahead and recruit it. And they've kind of dabbled. I think they need one more guy from that state, and it's eventual. When somebody leaves the UCF staff, whatever it is, guy gets a coordinator job, whatever, goes to the NFL, they have to consider strongly in their criteria, where does this guy recruit? Mm-hmm. And if it's a guy that's been at Oklahoma State or he's been at TCU or LSU, all those areas, they recruit the state of Texas. That's important because you're going to be playing over there anyway. You're traveling there anyway. Might as well go to the Friday night games and scout some kids. Exactly. Even if you get 1 or 2 players,
man,
you know the talent.
You know the talent out there in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. you are going to bolster your roster. So that's my guess. Yeah. If you're recruiting California, it's a niche. It's a kicker, a quarterback, something like that. But Texas is the next stop. And I think that you'll, in 2 or 3 years, we'll be surprised if UCF has a recruiting class that does not have a Texas player.
Yeah, and I think Ryan O'Keefe and a couple other guys are from Texas area anyway, so that should extend out, coming with some more success in the Big 12. Thank you for that.
Jalen is from Fort Worth.
Jalen Griffin, right? Yeah.
Robinson.
Jalen Robinson. My bad.
Yeah, but I want to say Griffin's from Texas as well. So I mean, they got
Griffin's from Texas. Jalen Griffin's from Texas.
Yeah, he went to one of the JUCO, Kilgore, one of the JUCOs there. So I think he's from that state.
That's right there.
Yeah, I know it's wild. They're all receivers.
That's 3 wide receivers.
It is bizarre. And then they just got Caden Kittler. He's from Dallas.
Another one. So they're already extending out there, man. You hire guys that can recruit in that area as well. So that'll be good. That'll be a positive.
Herb Hand was at Texas before he came to UCF. So that helps. Now, O-line coaches usually recruit basically O-linemen, but the talent for O-line there is just fine.
Right.
So please give me more.
Yeah.
Now, the last part here.
All right. We'll pull these guys up.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. This is a very important part of location. The 7-on-7 circuit is heavy in Florida because of weather. January, February, March, April.
Beautiful.
You're not going to play those games in Detroit, okay? Cam Newton was at Pylon, which is a big organization here where I live in Tampa this past weekend. They drove over and they saw Gus. Obviously, Cam played for Gus at Auburn. And he had a bunch of kids. I mean, I sent you the list. I know these kids. I was with Cam and his group last year at a tournament in South Carolina. It's insane how much talent they have. All the kids that I sent you are Power 5 kids. And with one phone call, he gets all of them on campus.
Right.
And these
How big is that? How big is that for Gus Malzahn, you know?
Well, that's what I mean.
To have that joker card to be able to pull out guys he's coached previously to maybe come show some.
100%. That's a great point, Andrew. That's a great point. They've had SFE, they've had Immortals, they've had Certified Dogs, all these Florida teams. Now you're getting Cam's team, which is based out of Atlanta, obviously, but he gets kids from all over. One of the kids that lives here close to me from Tampa, he's on his team. He flies him just for practice up to Atlanta. I mean, that Cam's money is different, so the kid doesn't pay a dime. But it's
what you need though. Is Power 5 to be Power 5. You need to be out there at them camps.
That's right. So all the kids that I sent you there, like Prentice Air Nolan plays at Langston Hughes on the south side of Atlanta. He's going to be a quarterback that's going to be a 30 offer kid. JoJo Stone plays at Grayson. It's one of the best programs in the entire country. They won the mythical national title at 1 year and not that long ago. I saw him play in the playoffs. You know, he's a 200-pound kid that's just completely ripped and he's physically ready for college. He's got 2 years left. He's got 2 years left.
Wow.
Ron Gatling plays at Milton, one of the best programs again in the state of Georgia. He's a kid that already has 20-some offers, Alabama, etc. When you get these kinds of kids on campus, the worst case scenario is you just get the publicity from it.
Right. You get the tweets and the Instagram posts, which 100%. Matter.
You also, even if you don't get the kid, they are now familiar, and then that's where the transfer portal comes. One of these kids is not going to work out wherever he goes. It's inevitable.
Right.
UCF will have a relationship with that young man, and that's very important. So UCF is not only winning the battle short term, but they're setting themselves up for
long term. Yeah, they're playing a long term fight as well, which I like. And this coaching staff has a lot of positives going on.
I think that if you kind of look at that list, and I mean, I obviously know it. I know some of these kids. It's interesting because like Caleb Beasley is a kid that everybody's going to hear about probably more than they want. He's a DB out of Nashville, Tennessee. He can play for any school in the country.
Yeah,
he comes and visits. This is the kind of kid that UCF does not get, even on
right. Right.
He's a national top 10 corner, maybe top 3 in his class. Academics, well-spoken, elite talent, etc. He's the kind of kid that Texas, Alabama, Notre Dame, USC, Florida State all go after. He was just on your campus.
Yeah,
you can start pitching that to some of these local kids and say, "Hey,
other kids see that."
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? This is what we're doing. Why don't you come join us?
Right. And this is who we're bringing on campus, you know.
Yeah.
Come be a part of this.
So I'm really
that's a good pitching strategy right there.
I would do it. I mean, I'm sure they're doing the same.
Yeah.
I'm just really humbled by like what my expectations were when I took this job and what I thought they would do recruiting wise and what they've been able to do. I was way underselling. I'm here and they're above where you can even see on the screen. So
there's on fire. He's recruiting, man.
He's doing a very good job. And it's expanded. I thought they would do pretty well in Florida, but their ability to recruit the state of Georgia has well exceeded my expectations. Right. And now they're using contacts. Obviously, Cam is somebody that's very familiar with Gus. Wow. So why would I not think they're going to get a kid or two or three a year that you're like going into the class? Nah, they're not going to get that kid. Last year, Keanis Thompson, nobody thought they were going to get that kid. Mm. Who did he sign with? UCF. You know, the twins, Nakai, they started getting kids that other schools were pretty ticked about. They're getting SEC kids. The first commitment from this class, same deal. Second commitment from this class, same deal. You're getting kids that SEC schools offered. Mm. Now it's a little bit easier because you have a track record.
Right.
So yeah, that's really what it's about. You have some. You need him to be successful this fall. I mean, it would be great if, like, just hypothetically, Nakai had a pick six or something like that, and you can say, "This is you. This can be you."
That spring game is going to be a key, man. I can't wait for that. I really can't.
And they can do that with the spring game, and then in fall, like if one of the freshmen gets a sack on Cunningham in the Louisville game or something like that, it's important that you utilize those tools and win the game. By the way, that's number one. But if they are able to come out and play good and some of the younger guys contribute, this recruiting class can change. Yep. They're still going to take plenty of kids for the portal, don't get me wrong. But I think ultimately they want to take more high school kids so they can develop them. But they're not getting as many as they want yet. They're on that teeter-totter point. And it's just about playing games now. We got to wait for the fall. But I'm excited.
If they have a successful season this year, we'll see that changing with the local kids, especially in the Orlando area. Big time.
I agree. Last point here before wrapping it up. I think that this class, while it only has 2 commitments, I'm glad because I would rather they be patient and not grab bag. It's very early in the process. It's still the month of March, and they're going to have more visits coming up not only this month and in April, but June is the big month. They have camp, they have official visits. So just for people out there that don't really know the recruiting calendar, NCAA's changed it so much with COVID and everything. June is the key month. You can have official visits and camp. You can have official visits in April as well, but June is the bigger one because most schools want to do more evaluations and stuff because they go out on the road in April and May and scout kids, get transcripts, etc. So June is the month for UCF. I expect them to go into fall camp with 6 to 8 commitments, who I have no idea who's next. But with all these visits, I'm like everybody else.
We don't know who's the next boom, guys.
If I had a guess, I'm a pretty blunt guy, I would throw it out there. It could be Malachi. It could be anybody. There's plenty of positions, plenty of guys that it could be. I have no freaking clue. Mm-hmm. I literally have not made a recruiting list by position because there's been so many visits. I was like, I'm waiting for March to be done before I even consider putting that out there. And even then, because of the number of visits they've had with bus tours and 7-on-7 teams and stuff,
it's still unusual. It's crazy though. It's a positive thing for UCF.
Yes, it is. Well, this is going to wrap it up. Just real quick, Andrew, stick with me here, but thank you for coming on the show again. I appreciate it, my friend. Really enjoyed having you on. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notification button. Inside the Knights. We're having fun with it. And right now is a lot of fun for me because I'm a recruiting guy. If you type it into Google, you can find it. There's an Inside the Knights on Facebook. Please like and subscribe there as well. We enjoy doing it, and I'm going to be at practice tomorrow to get a little bit of press conference stuff going on over there at UCF. I haven't been there in a while, so coming into the home stretch.
Ryan will be back more involved, man. He's been busy. He took a trip as well. So.
Yeah, that's the understatement of the morning. So, all right, everybody, have a great day. Thank you very much.